So we had him as breaking news a lot yesterday, the Kevin Spacey court appearance.
We did, yes.
From getting off the jet to, driving through town in Nantucket there and going into the courtroom, and then how he looked in the courtroom.
Right.
And what he's done before. So he appeared in that court yesterday, denying the criminal charge that he groped a busboy back in 2016.
So the actor looked, as Troy just mentioned, a bit disheveled in court, and at times there were moments where he was kind of smirking, and we were a bit bewildered by the whole thing as we watched the whole thing unfold. So we're talking about him doing damage control now on this whole situation. We know he's been widely popular, an award-winning actor. Abbie Fink, a PR pro with HMA Public Relations, she joins us live this morning to talk about how someone goes about even repairing the reputation like this.
Hi, Abbie. Can we start by, really quickly, let's go back a little bit and look at what he's done up until this point. He came out with that YouTube video where he portrayed Frank Underwood, his famous character on House of Cards, basically addressing the charges, and the whole thing had a really weird tone. And what we were saying yesterday is, if you were handling somebody in this kind of situation, what kind of a move do you think that was? Let's start with that.
Well, it was a bit peculiar, that's for sure. And, I'm always in favor of coming out and talking about certain circumstances. And if you're faced with these types of allegations, talking about them, owning up to them, working the system appropriately. However, going into character and kind of taking that mysterious viewpoint was a little bit unsettling given the gravity of the conversation that we're having. So I probably would not have advised him to slip into character. Talking about it and being himself, definitely. Using his character, not so much.
So as odd as it sounds, with him going into character and doing this YouTube video and it went viral and in the middle of this whole situation, can you imagine, I mean, do you think he obviously did it on purpose, but do you think it's in a way to kind of show that he doesn't care, or kind of smirking at the situation, or what are your thoughts?
Well, he's definitely confident that he's going to come out on the winning side of this particular conversation. And I think using that video and kind of taking that attitude sort of demonstrates that he's fairly confident about what's going on. And again, there's a larger context here about what these allegations are and what to do when you're faced with these kinds of situations. And so being public in a public figure like he is, he has an opportunity to really use his platform for good and to think about and talk about these kinds of conversations. Whether or not the circumstances surrounding this are going to prove out in court to be true or not, he is a public figure, and he needs to take that into consideration when he's talking about these very important discussions around sexual abuse and the conversations that we're having really all over in the workplace right now.
Right, and it keeps those conversations to the forefront that, we can all be aware of, what's permissible and what isn't. Obviously, if the charges in this case turn out to be true, and not even close to permissible. One more question for you here. When he was in court yesterday, the look on his face, I don't want to say smug, but he was almost kind of a small smile, almost like a bemused smile. What did you think when you saw that yesterday?
Well, yeah, I agree. It felt to me like he thought he was too important to be there. First of all, he had asked the judge if he could just, call in his not guilty plea. I think he really did think he had kind of owned the situation, that he's in charge, and what, this is an inconvenience for me, and I'm here. What will play out now over the course of the court system and where we go from here will really tell how he comes out in the end. We owe our court system the benefit of investigating this and determining whether or not it turns out to be true or not, and how he behaves over the next several months as this plays out will really determine, I think, how forgiving as a society we can be, and whether or not he'll be able to come back and be on television, be in the movies again in a way that will accept him in doing that.
Abbie Fink from HMA Public Relations. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Abbie.
Appreciate you, Abbie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was interesting insight.
And she brings up a good point. Do you remember, we just talked about it, was it last hour, how he was pulled over for a speeding ticket the same day.
Right after, on his way home.
Goodness.
And he got out of it.
Yeah. It was a God of warning.
Yeah, I know.